WWE superstar CM Punk has once again taken a shot at All Elite Wrestling. We're going to talk about what CM Punk had to say in a recent interview that has everyone talking about his former employer. Why would he go out of his way to say this again? What will AEW potentially say in return? We're going to take a look at that. We're also going to talk about some major changes that are likely coming to All Elite Wrestling in 2025. One of these is something that fans have been asking about for a very long time, so stay tuned. Be sure to smash that thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. All right, let's first dive in and talk about CM Punk. Punk has not been seen on WWE TV for a number of weeks, ever since the fallout of WWE Bad Blood and his match with Drew McIntyre in Hell in a Cell. But we are getting rumblings that he will return soon. It seems obvious that in the lead up to Survivor Series and, of course, Raw on Netflix, they want to make sure that they have their biggest, or one of their biggest stars in CM Punk. And Punk was making the rounds in the media, and he was actually asked about his former employer, AEW. We know how that ended. I'm not going to recap that, but he was asked a pretty point-blank question, was there anyone or any feud in AEW that you feel like you didn't get to do? Was there a match that, you feel like you didn't get to do or you didn't get to finish? And here's what he said, quote, "No, I feel like I wasted some matches on some people, for sure. That is what it is. Some people understand the business, some people don't. I think everybody here understands the business." So CM Punk doing it once again, taking that shot at AEW. This is the first time in a number of months, really, Punk has taken a direct shot at AEW. He was, I will say, in his defense, asked a direct question, and I guarantee you this, CM Punk did not say anything that he did not feel in that. So if for all of you people want to say, well, he's overstating or whatever, or he's lying, he's definitely not lying. I think Punk genuinely feels that way. When he feels something, he feels it very strongly, as we know that to be true about CM Punk. But it obviously, first time in a couple of months that we've had this, Punk is taking those some shots. AEW's obviously done things as well as far as the footage goes, which, weirdly it did a lot for Jack Perry, didn't really do much for anyone else, but it's one of those things where they both kind of taking shots back and forth at each other, and it feels like at this point AEW's kind of removed itself from CM Punk, but Punk just continues, to take these shots. And we got another one here, and look, you could make the argument that CM Punk could have, said next question or skipped it, and it wouldn't have been as big a story, honestly, as it is. But the fact that he said, I think this is what's gotten a lot of people up in arms or whatever. The fact that he said he feel like he wasted matches in AEW, as a fan reacting to it. And again, CM Punk, it was his experience, it's his opinion, and that really is what, matters as far as the truth goes. But when we're talking about from a fan perspective, I'm looking at this I'm like, wait, you're telling me there's not a single match that you would want to go and do in AEW? I understand that he has problems with the Elite or whatever, and I understand he probably never wanted to do a CM-FTR versus the Elite match, but you can't tell me that, someone like Kenny Omega, who CM Punk respects, and, even in the fallout of everything that went down, was saying that, Kenny was he was kind of caught in the crossfire or whatever, the crosshairs of everything that was going on. You can't tell me that that's a match that at least fans didn't want to see. That was a match that I think everyone kind of was clamoring for at one point. We all assumed we were going to get it. Another person that many people wanted Punk to face we wanted to see Bryan Danielson versus CM Punk on major North American TV or on major North American promotion that wasn't WWE, because remember, they had one encounter in WWE in a match, I believe it Over the Limit in 2012, and while it was a good match, it didn't have the story that I think people wanted. It was kind of like I'm not going to say a throwaway match because it was a world title match, but at the end of the day, the stakes were pretty low because we knew Punk was retaining, and they had done very little in the build up to that. And obviously Bryan became an even bigger star in WWE in the years that would follow. So I think everyone saw what happened at All Out, Punk having his return match, Bryan Danielson signing with AEW. And it was like almost not assumed, but like speculated that eventually we would get that, and we didn't. And there were a whole host of other matches that, for whatever reason, we didn't get in AEW. And I mean, for whatever reason, it was the crash outs happened. Crash outs on multiple fronts. People were crashing out left, right, and center. And Punk ended up being fired. Now he's gone from the company. As far as what AEW could or would do in return to this, I mean, I think they AEW, their biggest thing is like they need to worry about their own product, their own business at this point. And I think they are. And this is something that, like, you know, I've been trying to figure out for the past couple of months. Punk said something in his Ariel Helwani interview back in WrestleMania week where he said, you know, WWE is a business and AEW is not a business. It's Tony's plaything. And I think what this specific quote, and we can go back and even, oh, that's me. We can go back and pull it up real quick. But this quote says, some people understand the business. Some people don't. I think everybody here understands the business. I think what Punk probably was referring to in that Ariel Helwani interview, and look, I could be wrong. He could think that AEW is a failing company, but I don't think that's what he was saying, because Punk, I think, is smarter than that and understands that, look, they are a profitable company. It is true. They are a major. They just signed a major television rights contract. That is something that is just facts, right? But I think what Punk is saying, that maybe he doesn't view them as part of like the real business. He doesn't view them as his brand of wrestling, or the wrestling that he believes is pure professional wrestling. And the way he sees WWE do business, like that's kind of what he's talking about. They are more professional. They have these things sorted out. They kind of understand, you know, like what to do for talent and how to like satiate their needs. I think when it comes to AEW, he kind of views them as like, and it's probably a lot of it has to do with his experience, but he views them as literally something Tony Khan just funded and it's a vanity project or whatever. But vanity project or not, it obviously is successful. So in my view, I think like when Punk said that in our Helwani interview, it was less about like, you know, the fact of like, oh, here's how much money they're drawing or whatever, but it was more of, I just don't think that it is part of the business. You know, it's not serious. And I think that's probably what Punk was getting at. And at this point, look, we can say a lot about CM Punk. We can say a lot about what he may have done wrong or whatever. One thing is true. That man, when he's speaking to you, he's going to speak his mind, and he will definitely do it. Just like I will speak my mind right now when I tell you you can save $20 off your first purchase by using the promo code REALTAKE at checkout when you sign up with SeatGeek. Guys, if you're going to WWE SummerSlam, if you're going to AEW Full Gear, if you're going to AEW World's End, wherever you're going, SeatGeek is the place to buy your tickets. And today, I'm going to save you an extra $20 off when you sign up using the promo code REALTAKE. All you have to do is go to the link in the description, click on that bad boy, you sign up, you download the app, do what you got to do, and then at checkout, you use the promo code REALTAKE. That saves you, yes, you, yeah, I mean you watching this video right now, that saves you $20 off. Save yourself $20. Go buy yourself a double, triple bean burrito or whatever at Chipotle with guac, with the fixings, with everything. Go do that with the money you save here. YouTube.com/Real Take Wrestling. That is the name of the channel. That is not what I'm supposed to be plugging, but download SeatGeek. $20 off. Promo code RealTake. That's all you got to do. All you got to remember. Promo code RealTake. We're going to be saying that a lot in these videos, guys, as we move on. let's talk about some other AEW news and talk about some welcome news that people have been wanting for a very long time in All Elite Wrestling. It seems like many fans who have wanted AEW to begin running smaller arenas may be getting exactly what they want, as Brian Alvarez of the Wrestling Observer said, quote, on one of his shows this week, quote, "I've been told that there is headway being made in running smaller buildings. Now you hear that and think, why does headway need to be made? Just book smaller buildings." Well, apparently that's actually was a logistical reason why they were running a lot of the larger buildings, and it had to do with the set, in particular, the lighting rig. There was something that they had in their set that was basically too large and heavy to get into smaller buildings, so they've been working on retooling it so they can actually get their set into smaller buildings. So I think as of the year 2025 kind of starts coming in, they have been talking to different ideas for production and everything like that. I think we're going to finally get the move. There are going to be smaller buildings. They're going to work on some production and hopefully will be a positive, in terms of how the show looks, sounds, etc. on television, and they will save a lot of money. That is Brian Alvarez of Wrestling Observer Online. The money thing, aside, like obviously, I think running smaller venues, that is going to definitely save AEW quite a bit as far as fees go. But one thing that I have almost religiously been pointing to whenever someone asks me the question about why hasn't AEW made the switch to running smaller buildings? They need to run smaller buildings. I've always pointed to two things. Number one, the email list. Like, say what you want. You can scoff at it. You can say it doesn't work, and you might have a point when you say that. But the email list is a major part of the reason why AEW, did not make the transition to smaller buildings sooner. But then the other part, and this is kind of what Brian alluded to in his comments, was the logistical reasons. Things like the lighting rig and production. Things like the actual power needed to light up all those LED lights and keep everything powered, light up those trucks and things like that, right? That is not something that is just available in every smaller arena. There's also other logistical things like the ability to have, not state of the art, but pretty decent concessions and things and those types of things. Like, if you go to some of these arenas, these smaller arenas, the concessions are absolutely dog poop. And that hurts the fan experience for your fans who are paying for the show. So these are small things that, we may scoff at looking at home, but when you're talking about the long-term use of doing week to week, or the long-term ability of doing week to week touring content, it plays a role. The fan experience, the ability to keep your show powered up, the ability to actually fit your stage into the arena, those things matter, and those things are crucial in order to making sure that your show goes off and you're able to do it consistently. So while I do agree that, they should have been running smaller arenas earlier, but the reality is they are a company that is going through growing pains. That is just the truth. They're a company that is evolving, growing very fast, and some of these things, they're going to get left behind. It's just going to happen, and I think this is one that they obviously have been having internal conversations about. It's one they're fixing, and as far as what it's going to look like, what it's going to be, I think for damn sure it is going to help things out, because right now AEW, the way their show comes across, it's enjoyable, and many times there's a lot of weeks where the fans are into it. The crowd is losing their mind. They're loving it. But on a week to week on TV, it just is the case that there's a lot of weeks where that's not the case, where you have crowds that are dead, that are flat, that aren't into the product, and where it's like it just feels like a cavernous, dark setting, like you're in a cave or something, and you can't see most of the arena. And they obviously don't show the hard cam side. I'm less of a stickler for that stuff, but I do think, running smaller arenas will help fix some of that. It'll also make it a bit more intimate. And I think over time, it'll actually help them so that when they do have a big arena show, it means more and it matters more. And, I think that there's a lot that's going to help them in that as well. The production's going to feel hopefully better. I think they need to switch back to doing like a more minimalist set. I think the set that they had back in 2019, 2020, like that was a nice set. It was like the old chandelier, as I call it. I like it. And I would love to see that make a return potentially, and maybe them go back to their roots in some way. So going to be interesting to see if that happens, when that happens. But guys, I want to hear from you. What do you guys think about AEW potentially running smaller venues? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? What did you make of CM Punk's comments about All Elite Wrestling? Was he in pocket? Was he out of pocket? Was he... Do you care? Let me know in the comments. Guys, also be sure to smash that thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time, be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real.